So, Claire, you're back after a week break.
I know you're going to start that way. It wasn't a break, actually. You know it wasn't a break.
Well, in a way, we missed you on this set.
Okay. I missed the set too.
Good. You're welcome
I missed
back.
you too. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, 2 years into President Bola Tinubu's administration, on one sector that received sustained attention is agriculture, and by extension, food security.
Absolutely. And from declaration of a state of emergency and food to distributing fertilizers, grains, to setting up the National Commodity Board, and even focusing on irrigation, the government has rolled out a number of bold initiatives, Demola.
Yeah, you're right, Claire. And don't forget security support for farmers. That alone has been a game changer in many communities. But as with most ambitious projects, results matter more than headlines.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we've always emphasized that. On paper, we've seen commitments to increasing food production. We've also seen efforts to suspend food import duties, boost mechanized farming. I mean, there's been talk about river basins being revived, job creations, being a key selling point. But
well, as always, the real question is how much of this is being felt on the ground? For the average Nigerian, the farmer, the market woman, the consumer, are these policies actually putting food on the table? The question.
When you said on the ground, I was going to say no, but then, of course, you explained what on the ground means. Are those policies relatable to the ordinary people?
Yeah,
are they helping
the
to bring down prices or just adding more layers of bureaucracy? And that's why today, on Good Morning Nigeria, we will ask the tough questions. And trust us here. We will dig into the numbers, the progress, and of course the road ahead in the agricultural sector.
We'll also hear from those who implement the policies, those who benefit, and those who are still waiting for the promised impact.
It is a conversation that we promise you will touch every home, because food security isn't just a policy goal. It's a basic need for everyone.
Indeed, it's a basic need. So stay with us as we explore Nigeria's agricultural journey under the Tinubu administration, the wins, the worries, and what the future might hold. I am Ademola Adeoye. Thank you for being here.
And I'm Claire Adelabu Abdurazak. We're live on the network service of the NTA, and still to come, of course, in a short while, we'll be hitting what the headlines say this morning, of course, with our ever-young Chukwudi Okoliwaja.
Thanks for staying with us. You're still on to Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. Up next on the program is Newspaper Review.
All right, let's welcome the man with the Midas touch to Newspaper Review. I'm wondering what he's going to say to me today.
Earlier on, he said you are too young.
I am young, of
Comfort
course.
was asking the question, is he really young?
Oh, my dear Comfort asked that? Oh, no, don't get to know anybody completely. Demola, good morning. Claire,
Good morning.
how are you doing?
Very well.
I thought I heard something like megastar. I felt good.
I said Midas touch. Midas touch. You have
Oh, the Midas touch.
Yes, you have a way of...
You got a Midas touch.
No. Please, let's start with the business
Okay.
news this morning. Not that. Don't take us back to the 80s. All right. The business Nigeria has quite a number of stories this morning. Forex reserves slide. Naira falls to 1,590 Naira ahead of BDC shake-up. Now, exam cheats. Students face 3-year ban. That's a warning coming from the federal government. EFCC, staff behind 9.7 billion Naira cyber loot in 6 banks. Wow. Tinubu seeks NAS approval for fresh $21.5 million external loan. That's from the Business Nigeria newspaper. Let me quickly look at the Daily Times now. The Daily Times, 15-year, $500 million Nigeria Trust Fund. Additional grateful to federal government. Gives account of his stewardship is there on the front page. There are other stories. Just trying to get reps move to restructure Nigeria's finance sector. NAFDAC uncovers fake drug factory in Delta, and IBAS to defend Rivers budget before joint national assembly committee. I think Dimola, you have the leadership newspaper, so actually
you have another one. There are three papers.
Yes, please go ahead with the leadership.
Okay. All right, let me just take the leadership newspaper. And just above the nameplate, examination malpractice now attracts 3-year ban. That's coming from the Minister of Education. The story can be found on page 22. Tinubu seeks NAS approval for $21.5 billion loan, other borrowings. Details of that story can be found on page 22. Then we have equity. Foreign domestic transactions dropped by 633.47 billion naira in April. Details on page 17. NEC stalemate over PDP national scribe. Details on page 7. Second anniversary knocks kudos for Tinubu on security. Concerns over 7 attacks on military formations in 5 months. Fight against insurgency yielding results. Stakeholders and several terrorists eliminated. Arms recovered. Details of that major headline is on page 4. Children's Day. Federal government states pledge protection, better future for the children. Details on page 4. Amadou Ali's son jailed 14 years for 2.2 billion subsidy fraud. Details on page 28. Afenifere appoints Olufalaye as NEC chairman. Details on page 4. Benue to start juice production by August. Details on page 18. Then we have the pictures of the cross-section of children engaged in activities to celebrate 2025 Children's Day across states yesterday. Claire, you still have one more paper?
No, I don't.
You're done? Okay.
Yes. So it's over to Chukwudi.
Yes.
What's he writing?
Let me start with the cup being half full of water. I'm going to read one that also suggests that the cup could be half empty. Benue to start juice production by August. And you say that's good. There are so many things that we can produce here and actually export.
Benue's food basket.
Yeah, it is. It's not just Benue. You see, because of the kind of greenery, because of the kind of fauna, no, I think I'm mixing. The fauna is for animals. What's the other one for the greenery? Flora. The kind of flora you have in Benue, it attracts attention to it naturally. But the truth is that almost every Nigerian community is a potential food producer. I was telling my people the other time, you go to the bush, clear it, do your cassava. That will take 1 year to get ready. You do your yam, that will take 8 months to get ready. Over here in the north, about 9 things are farmed, and each of them you harvest after 3 months and you put another one. That's why farmers are richer in this part.
You don't even have to go to the bush any longer.
You don't.
You don't have to. All you need to do is just have your sacks and just plant whatever
you plant your yam.
Yes.
Yam start producing. I saw 3 tubers of yam
just
pulled out of
compound.
one sack. I said, this one is witchcraft too. You know? The technology is not coming early enough. Man done the old small.
And it's catching up. Mm-hmm. I'm not being, a feminist here, but it's catching up, and the women are really taking that,
they're participating.
so
Exactly.
much. Yes, and again,
because of the First Lady's
yes,
program
exactly.
on that.
Yes, every home a garden,
every woman
has
a garden.
has sparked a revolution amongst Nigerian women to the extent that every woman now, wants to have something, some vegetable, some greenery, in her backyard. So it's a program that should be sustained. It's a program that should be embraced by all subnationals.
It's so easy for cynical Nigerians to say, "Hey, the man is a sycophant." Otherwise, anytime I hear Senator Tinubu, I think of Victoria Gowon, I think of Miriam Babangida, ladies of class, Stella Obasanjo. There's something I reserve in my mind. It's a personal thing. No. So I like the initiatives she's undertaking. And that humility that goes with whatever she does is exemplary. Let's give it to her.
I don't think anyone would want to query your opinion.
It's my opinion.
Yeah, this opinion. But again, it's an opinion that aligns with a lot of other people.
Thank you.
Because if you hear the words and the programs enunciated by the Office of the First Lady, they are people-friendly, programs. They are children, friendly programs. They are programs that impact family. If you watched, I think, was it yesterday? Is it the Agile? I was at home and I was watching, different category of children participating in different events, food, sports, innovation, painting, debates and poetry. And you saw children from across.
She's not the subject, but quickly, she's not the subject, but quickly, you are talking about things Oluremi Tinubu is doing now. But I'm going back to the Senate. I knew when one kind senator picked a quarrel with her, the way she carried herself. It was wonderful.
Let's move on.
It was wonderful.
Knocks kudos for Tinubu on security.
Yes, it has to be knocks and kudos, as they say. Kudos. Kudos would come in because actually some achievement is being. They started with decapitation about 6 months ago, removing getting off the heads of those terrorists and insurgent camps and all that, and that seemed to have worked. But you see, insurgency has an alarming brand of metamorphosis. It's like a hydra-headed snake. You cut off one head will shoot up and all that. It mutates. This is something that our security people must build into their psyche as they combat it. Look at what they're trying to do now. Create the impression that they're overwhelming the army. They really are not. It is a put-on to give the impression that, either to make portray government in bad light or to make the security forces pick fright. But then I keep on saying Nigerian soldiers stop the wars in Sierra Leone and Liberia effectively under the Nemekobog. We would always be able to get over it.
Yes, we will not end without mentioning additional's 10-year as AFDB president. And of course, the Daily Times has on its front page 15-year, $500 million Nigeria Trust Fund, additional grateful to
the man with the dot tie, whom I said, now this one, they make Minister of Agriculture, what can he do? Then he came with a wallet that helped people get fertilizer easily. He actually has a commendation.
And cassava bread.
The African Economic Outlook 2025 is saying that services contributed 3/4 growth to Nigeria's GDP. He's happy with that,
So we're happy with you too this morning.
Yes, as you tell me to shut up and get out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chooks, we're happy to have you.
I know, Demola.
We'll see you again tomorrow. All right, we'll just go for a break now. The conversation on Tinubu's agricultural, priorities, will be on the landlines when we come back. Stay with us.
All right, let me welcome you warmly. If you've just joined us, you're on to Good Morning Nigeria, the network service of the NTA. Now, our focus this morning is on 2 years of President Tinubu's administration, what he has achieved, milestone in the agricultural and food security subsector. Before we start, let's listen to the background report put together by our correspondent, Uyemi Ajayi.
When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assumed office, Diversification of the country's economy, encouraging all sectors of the economy to be at their best, with the potential of being another indomitable sector and strength of the economy, was the major focus. On the competitive edge is agriculture, which many say has the drive to boost the country's economy. The president pinpointed food security along with the regional economic inclusion as the first currency of Nigeria's path to long-term stability. He believes that food sufficiency is the first currency of national stability, hence the need for modern tools which are vital for increasing productivity and feeding Nigeria's growing population. This informs the creation of the Ministry of Livestock, different to that of Agriculture and Food Security, in order to ensure attention and concentration on all branches of the sector. As part of efforts to address food and nutrition security, the government launched dry season farming with the cultivation of 118,657 hectares of wheat in 15 states in an acceleration of all year-round farming. They also procured and distributed to all states and the FCT 58,500 metric tons of milled rice to dampen escalating prices and fortified crops with vitamin A micronutrients to enrich the nutrition content and health value of commodities. In response to persistent food inflation, the government at some points distributed 60,432 metric tons of improved seeds, 887,255 metric tons of seedlings, and 62,328 metric tons of inorganic fertilizers and equipment to farmers across different value chains to enhance production. So far, some stakeholders in the agricultural sector have commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu of farmer support programs aimed at encouraging productivity and food security in the country, with the belief that the program would transform agriculture to achieve sustainable development in the sector, especially with the renewed hope agenda. Now, 2 years of President Tinubu's administration in the agricultural sector, how well should or can it be assessed? What more should be done to strengthen the sector? Our guests will be answering these questions and more shortly.
Thank you so much, Oyemi Ajayi, for that background report. How do we assess the administration performance in the agricultural sector? And to answer some of these questions, we have in the studio our guests that are already seated. The first is Senator Aliyu Abdullahi, who is the Minister of State Agriculture and Food Security. You're welcome to Good Morning Nigeria as usual. You're welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning, Nigerians.
All right.
And also joining us here is High Chief Daniel Ubiora Okafu, Vice President, All Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN, and National President, Potato Farmers Association of Nigeria, POFAN. And we're very glad to welcome him for the first time on Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
For having me. I'm grateful indeed.
Okay, thanks for coming, for joining us. Okay, let's start with the Honorable Minister, Senator Abdullahi. Just like Oyemi Ajayi said, he said food security is the first currency for national stability.
Absolutely.
Established. Okay. Now, what are the key priorities or key initiatives of the policies of Tinubu administration when it comes to agriculture? Let's look at that first.
Well, thank you very much for this very important intervention for us to be able to tell Nigerians what the President Tinubu administration has been doing over the past 2 years. Perhaps let me start by saying that we came at a very difficult time when the food situation in the country was really very precarious. And you will recall that to take the problem head on, even before the ministers were put in place, the president saw the need and declared an emergency. I think that was around July 18 or so, and said that there's the food security situation is an emergency situation. Now, immediately we came on board. Of course, we knew that, yes, we have to be the food soldiers to help Mr. President to drive the necessary attention for this emergency situation. And so at the outside in 2023, we had the dry season famine, which we had to tackle head on. We call it National Agricultural Growth Scheme, Agro Pocket, which was a policy support based project of the African Development Bank. We made the project already, at some stage in formulation, and quickly a lot of attention was given to it, and then we got down to work and we went into the dry season farming for that year, 2023-2024. Now, but before then, you also recall that as a ministry, having received briefing from our various departments and agencies, we came up with certain focal areas. We articulated what we call immediate issues that we need to tackle, because no matter the solution you want to bring, at that stage, what Nigerians want to see is a resolution of the food crisis.
Yeah.
But then we also knew within that ambit also, we must begin to look at why are we where we are? What are the things that led us to where we are? And how do we get Nigerians away from there? And I think I must underscore this very important philosophy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who his antecedents have shown that it's not just to take care of the problem he has seen, but to provide a more permanent solution. In essence, create a framework, a system that will allow that problem never to show itself, or even if it will show itself, not as bad as it used to be. And I think these very difficult decisions, the president has shown enough courage, he has shown enough patriotism, he has shown love for this country in taking such kind of decisions head on, where other people have decided to maybe kick the can and say, no, let somebody do it. He has taken them head on. So we also have decided to take on the challenges. Now, before now, the tendency has been for us to just do rainy season. April, May, June, different parts of the country, like we are now, are beginning the season. And by October, harvest, and then we start celebrating. Everybody, but we can't do that now.
Everybody goes on break.
Because the population, over 200 million people, needs to be fed. And if you look at the production system, just having one cycle of production is no longer sufficient. So as a deliberate policy, this administration has declared, and we are so working to ensure that that becomes institutionalized, that we are going to have what we call all year round farming. So different areas of the country have different time days, onset for rainy season. But what is important is that we want farming to be an all year round activity, back to back. That is the only way we'll be able to meet the food security challenge. By the way, let's understand when we say food security, what are we talking about? We are talking about food has to be available, it has to be accessible, because if there is food and you can no longer go there to go and get the food, your food security situation is challenged. So accessibility, then affordability. You may go to the market, are you able to buy the food? So we are aware of all of these things. And at the same time, it should be in the right nutritional content, so that year on year, day by day, you are able to have food that will support your well-being and your physical activities as it should be. Now, one of the things I would like to say here is that we took this challenge head on. Now, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, we have decided, and myself and my colleague, Senator Abubakar Kyari, we have decided that we have to do something that is more institutional. So we've asked the question, what are our staple food? Different countries have different demands for staple foods. So we have now categorized certain staples as what we call Tier 1 food security crops. We have Tier 2 and we have Tier 3. Tier 1 food are those food that from Lagos to Kano to Maiduguri, every part of this country, they are consumed. So when you pay attention to that, you are satisfying the entire country. Then Tier 2 has more than up to 75 or 70% of the population of the country depending on it. And then Tier 3 are those ones that, yes, they fall below 50%, but they also represent a very important component of the diet of some people. And here, let me just quickly make an example because I know people can relate to the first two. But that tier 2, for example, is dealing with things like cocoyam. Cocoyam is important, for example, in the southeast and some other parts of some communities. You are talking about acha, for example. And you know, with the present situation where a lot of Nigerians are having diabetes, acha has suddenly become another food that is serving that population. So,
What is acha?
Acha is what do they call it? Is a kind of like a cereal, but it has low sugar, but it's also a very high power food because it has a lot of minerals and whatnot. And yes, it's produced mostly in the plateau and somewhere around the north central, some part of yes. So it's also a very they call it hungry rice. Okay. In another form, they call it hungry rice. So these are the things we have done as a matter of putting our framework together. But then we now asked, are our farmers productive? The productivity is low. So how do we tackle that? We are aware that the reason why productivity is low is the issue of the seed. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his renewed hope agenda, clearly made a statement. Plant the right seed, feed an entire nation. That is the vision of the president. And I think we took this home. And because of that, for the first time, we have revived the seed planning system, which has been moribund. And so the seed planning system is that you bring the Research Institute, the National Seed Council, and the seed entrepreneurs together. That way, whatever it is that the farmers are looking for, the research system will work in terms of research on it. And then by the time it is released, the breeder seed is the beginning. The breeder seed is the one that you said is improved. It has resistance to pests and diseases. It's short duration. It is stress tolerant. All those things that farmers are looking for. Now, when those seeds are available, the researcher will now make it available at, plant it, and then it becomes foundation stage 1. Now, that foundation stage 1 is what you give to seed entrepreneurs who will now go and produce it, and then it becomes stage 2, which is the certified seed. So
okay,
that has been. Let me land, please, because it's very important for us to underscore this point.
Because we also need to ask you some questions.
All right.
Yes.
But for me, what I'm trying to say is that we have gone down to the basic foundation. That's the point I'm trying to make. So that is being tackled. And for our research institute, the National Agricultural Development Fund, NADF, has done a very wonderful job of doing what we call baseline survey and assessment, which has never been done over the past 40 years. The last time that was done for the Research Institute system was during the Shagari administration. So we've done that now, and on the basis of that, there is a plan now to restore back the infrastructural integrity of the Research Institute so that they will be able to conduct quality research that will provide the innovative solutions farmers are looking for.
All right. Thank you, distinguished, for the breakdown. And by the way, I just tried to Google the acha. I didn't know it's the popular gero, and it's called fonio. That's
It's not gero.
It's not gero because they said it's gero in Hausa.
No, it's not gero.
It's not gero. It's quite different from gero.
It's quite different.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But thank you. Yeah. Just for deeper understanding and clarity, you said 3 things, and I like the fact that you are institutionalizing, the crops, farming, and grading them into tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. That's quite commendable, and also that you're planning, to have a sustainable cycle of production that goes all year round. But let's again begin. You talked about what President Bola Tinubu did to sustain, to create a sustainable system. I would like for you to share with us some of those decisions you talked about, that the president took, and also in terms of achieving, all year cycle of production. What are the frameworks that you're putting in place to achieve that? Considering, of course, that there's climate change, considering, of course, the difference in terms of, geographical divisions and the security issues here and there.
All right, thank you very much. You see, like I've said, I think those are the points I've started mentioning to you. You know, to get the seed system means that you are now having a system that will be responding to the climate change you are talking about. Because when you say you want climate smart technologies, you want a seed that is short duration, maybe 3 months, is now reduced to 1.5 or maybe 1 month. Instead of 90 days, you now in 60 days, you are able to harvest, or in 40 days, you are able to harvest. Bringing down the number of times so that the rains can begin and end, you are able to do your harvest. That is producing what we call short duration varieties. Okay. That is a breeding function. You are also able to say, because of the climate change, new pests and diseases are emerging. You should be able to have a variety that is resistant to pests and diseases. You are also talking about drought tolerant, because as a result of climate change, you may have what we call dry spell, where the rain just suddenly stopped. And I think in 2024, we witnessed that. When the National Animal Agricultural Extension Research Liaison Services, NARLS, that is in Ahmadu Bello University, they do annual performance evaluation of our cropping season. They did that last year, and they reported that there was a dry spell of about 20 days. Now, because there was also increased uptake of improved varieties, a number of farmers were able to get their crop going back after the dry spell. They were able to still get some, harvest. While those that are using, varieties that are non-compliant to this, they actually suffered some loss. Now, you are also talking about even flooding. When flood comes and leave, there are some varieties that you are able to actually breed that will withstand the flood period, and by the time the flood goes, they are still able to stand. So all of these things are in response to the climate challenge. And so if you don't get the research system revitalized, re-engineered, definitely they will not be able to respond to this. And I think this is happening already. Just some 3-4 weeks ago, the NIHOT, National Horticultural Nigerian Horticultural Research Institute, based in Ibadan, released a variety of tomato that is now resistant to Tuta absoluta, which was one of the major problems tomato farmers were facing. Now, you also remember the onion, farmers were also complaining about seed. These are all being tackled. And in fact, I think just about 3 weeks ago, they reported to us that they've started the harvest of the seed they have improved.
Are these varieties, are they genetically modified?
You see, let's not go into technology they are hybrid. What we do here is doing hybrid or open pollinated, OPVs, varieties. Now, genetic modification necessarily is not a bad idea. But what needs to happen is that you have to be in control of what you are doing. Okay? Because genetic engineering is all about breeding. And it's a continuum. You start from somewhere low up to the high one, where you are able to, maybe within the same varieties, okay, the same crop, you are able to take something that is good here and put into another, and then you are able to have a variety that withstands what this one has. So it's not a bad thing. But I know what people are afraid of is genetic engineering that will lead to harmful effect. And I think as a nation...
And will also affect the quality of the soil and other crops.
Well, what people talked about here is there is what you call, what do they call it, GUTs, that is genetic use restriction technologies.
Okay.
Now, the genetic use restriction technologies are the ones that somebody will breed, and then he will say, I have a chemical. Until I give you that chemical, you cannot activate. That is the restriction there.
Okay. Okay.
So that level of genetic engineering is what is harmful.
Okay.
And no country will support that. And that is why Nigeria, to protect our farmers, to protect our sovereignty, we have the National Biosafety Regulatory Authority. So that whatever you want to do, there is a procedure. And you see, in doing that, Nigerians should know that if you want to do that high level, even the laboratory you will do that work on is a very expensive laboratory. That is the P4. That is the highest level where so much standards are put in place. I don't think that is our interest. Our current interest is let our farmers have what they'll be able to plant, get a high yield, and to get high yield, you need mechanization. To get high yield, you have the right agronomic practices, which means extension services should be there to teach our farmers, to show them how these things are done. Then to have the right seed, you will need the right input, fertilizers. And by the way, Nigeria is under-fertilized. And that's why, as a ministry, we have come up with what we call the National Farmer Soil Health Scheme, which is almost 90% ready, and we hope to launch it very soon. This will enable farmers, if you have 1 hectare, that your 1 hectare, you have a report that tells you exactly the kind of fertilizer you should apply, so that you don't just pick fertilizer and just go and be throwing away anyhow. Those are the wastage. And we have done so much stakeholder engagement. The Farmers Association are part of it, telling us exactly how they want these things to be done. So I think what the president has done is to say that, look, we must work to make sure we stabilize the system. But most importantly, we must ensure that we entrench a performance system that will allow us to continuously have our food system working to meet the needs of our citizens. And I think all the necessary infrastructure and superstructure that are required are being put in place. One major challenge is irrigation for dry season. So that itself is also being tackled.
I think we should allow you.
In this your performance system, are you in any way involving the public-private sector? Because all that you have reeled at now, you have not even mentioned, how you are also involving them to help in actualizing.
Let me tell you what it is.
Yes.
What we are doing is what we call government-enabled but private sector-led development practice. Here, for example, in the mechanization scheme, while government is going to create the enabling environment, the private sector will take the drive. The farmers, and that's why since we came on board, the Farmers Association, there is nothing we do without inviting them. So
all right.
What we have tried to do is the private sector also are being given a lot of room to engage. And like we said, you create the enabling environment so that in terms of regulations, in terms of practice and every other thing, people will have the confidence and the comfort to bring in their investment. But most importantly, we believe the private sector has a lot to do, farmers have a lot to do, and they must take the lead. And for example, you know about cooperative. Before now, nobody talks about cooperative. Yet, in other climes, farmers, agricultural cooperatives, when properly organized, are able to take in inputs, they're able to take in infrastructure like the mechanization tools and give to their members and operate. That also is receiving very high attention.
I think we have
there's
to
quite
allow
a
you,
lot.
Yes, I think we have to allow you to rest.
There's quite. No, I'm ready to go on and on because we have worked on and on since over the past 2 years.
We also have the vice president of the All Farmers, Demola. We have the fight. You seem to have forgotten that.
No. We just wanted to.
It's because we have been working and working. Everything I've said here. Let me say this.
Yes.
Everything I have said here is what we have been doing.
Absolutely fantastic. Honestly, fantastic.
And there is still more.
And what you have said so
we'll
far.
get more from you
Yes.
actually, but also we just want to remind our viewers that you can also contribute to this discussion. You can ask questions. You can send in your suggestion on the number displayed on your screen via SMS or through WhatsApp messages. Thank you.
I was just going to say what all you have said now, that really excites me, and I'm sure most farmers or people, is that the short variety, seeds, the pest variety, friendly seeds, and the flood, that these seeds are available and they are accessible. And of course, the marching orders by the Mr. President that you should entrench a performance system. And very soon we will extend our conversation to find out how much of that entrenchment that you've done in 2 years. Dimala.
Yeah, okay, let's escalate. Let's bring in Sir Obiora into this conversation. And Sir Obiora, you are the Vice President of Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN, and National President, Potato Farmers Association of Nigeria. Now, tell us, what has been your collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture in all this?
Yeah, really thank you for inviting us to join in this very particular important conversation. Really, this is a scorecard for Mr. President. Really, actually, my minister have already said everything, and my own is to contribute to actually what he said. What he said, we are being carried along by the ministry. The only what I will say is that there's something he did not mention on the security matter. They have what we call Ranger. Just now, they created it, Agro Rangers. And they have another one they are talking about 50,000 to be employed as a
Forest guard.
Forest guard.
We've not talked
So
that.
we have not talked that. So another thing I want to say is that, you see, the farmers in this country are ready to work hard to make sure that our population is being fed, because an angry man is a devil workshop. If there is no food in your table, actually there will be a problem. And that is exactly what we are trying to do now. So we are ready to collaborate fully with them. I mean the ministry and other agencies and other parastatals. There's something I noticed while they are doing the work. They have done a lot of work. But the people that works with them, I mean the ministers, should do more work. What am I trying to say? The directors in the ministries should make sure that all these programs is being given farmers should be given opportunity to participate fully in implementing the program. That is what is left. All what our president have done, he did well, that I can give him 100%. Because you see, in the area of security, many of my farmers is going to farm now. Not like before. About 4 years ago. I have my data. But today, many of them are calling me, yeah, we are now going to our farm. But we need more of more security to tackle the insurgency, which is causing problem in this country. What am I trying to say again? They have done well in area of soil test for the farmers, because formerly farmers can take NPK and put in their listing, and they thought that this thing did not do well. Why you don't know that this is not the kind of fertilizer you are going to put? So I am very happy with what my minister have said. Many of them, as I told you, is really work in progress. But we are talking about the right seed, which is farmers, what they need. I'm a member of seed entrepreneur. Today we have a meeting to discuss on what to do, because farmers need early matured seed to tackle the climate change, which my minister have said it.
Are those seeds available to your farmers?
It's very available and accessible. So what we need is more research centers should do more of it, because it's not only this. Because what we need is budgeting of this agricultural this budget should be January. You see, when you talk about budget, you say budget of agriculture to be on May or April, it's wrong. In other country, agricultural budget should be January at least. You will start work so that we can know who to hold responsible. I cannot come and challenge anybody when the budget is not released to them. I have traced, I have my data. I traced, I noticed that some of the budget that they are talking about have not come to ministry. While we are the advocates of the farmers, I tell the farmers, cool down. This is not done. The farmers should, the budget of Ministry of Agriculture should be January.
So, Hi Chief Obiora, let me ask you. I'm glad you have confirmed what the minister, said about availability of these seeds, and the essence is to upscale production, and make, food crops or food items available, in all the markets. You and you will agree with me that today, if you enter the market, prices of foodstuffs are, in fact, Gary remains extremely high. Every other thing remains extremely high. So why is it that, whom do we blame? Why are we having, prices of food items rising, yet you guys have access to all these improved varieties of seeds?
I want to just let you know that the prices of Gary is not expensive. To compare the Naira equivalents, farmers must train their children.
I don't understand.
Farmers,
What's the link between the prices
because
of Gary
you see,
and Naira equivalent? Are we importing?
when you go to market to buy seed, you spend money. Farmers spend money to buy improved seed. And that improved seed they bought is part of it. Fertilizer, everything. Compare and contrast the amount spent to produce an acre of a land. So all this is what we are talking about. This thing. And one thing, let me tell you, when the government said we are increasing the salary of the workers, so farmers' salary, is it increased? The answer is no. So what am I trying to tell you is that I am happy that farmers are getting at least little of whatever to improve their welfare.
Okay, what you're trying to say is that you want to value for your efforts.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, High Chief.
And I think maybe just one point here. The point he has raised here is one very fundamental issue that we are tackling. For government interest is you should have farmers who are in production. Now, the cost of production, like you have said, our interest is to see if we can bring down the cost of production to the farmer. That way, the farmer will not be able to start asking for, which is what he has corroborated. Yes. But the consumer also, our interest is for the consumer to be able to afford. So this balance is only government that can stand in between. And that is why we are currently looking at this framework, and we are planning to introduce a mechanism that has always been there but has been weak, what you call the price stabilization and guarantee minimum pricing. Now, this discussion is ongoing, and the president is not one who wants to just do what you call a flash in the pan. He likes to have solutions that are practical, feasible, and implementable. That way, when you say you are solving a problem, you know you are solving a problem. So that it is only when we have that kind of system in place that the farmers, the cost of production will reduce. And to do this, for example, the Green Imperative Project, which is almost like a $1 billion project, is being implemented. It has just started with the Brazilian government, such that right now the interest is find a way to reduce the cost of production for farmers, because if production cost is high, the farmer must charge to recover his cost. But if the price is low, then it means the price recovery will be low, and what will go out there in the market will be affordable. So government is aware of this, but let me say this, it is not a quick fix. It's not something that because we are talking about it now, tomorrow it is possible. But what I'm saying is that we are putting it as a very top priority of what we are dealing with, and the president is highly, highly interested in this subject matter, and I know he would like us to have a very permanent solution on this, and we are working on that.
Okay.
And I guarantee that very soon we'll be coming out with that framework, so that at the end of the day, at the end of every year, like we have said, this crop categorization we have done, it's not all the commodities that will get this attention, but the ones that deals with the food security situation of the country will be given all of this attention.
Okay, the one that deals with the food security, because, you know, the vulnerable population are the one that, you know, these policies need to benefit most.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
But anyway, we have some of viewers that have sent in their observations, their questions. Probably let's just read some out.
Absolutely.
So that you can respond to some of them. This one says, please come to Kano and Jigawa to find out losses by farmers due to poor onion seeds in just concluded dry season farming. Then this one's from Alhaji Yusuf Olani. He said, good morning, Nigeria. The Honorable Minister is making a lot of points. Agriculture has a large value chain, but most importantly, how do we tackle agri-transport from the farm gate to the market at the right price for the populace to afford? Mechanization as storage facilities, the ministry should give support to the actual farmers, not portfolio farmers. Then this one says, good morning, Nigerians. Comrade Aji Tumobi Amza from Lagos also. My question is, how can we small farmers benefit from the budget that federal government have for the agricultural sector? Then this one says, cost of production is the problem for local farmers. The local farmers are facing. And then last one said, good morning, and a dry season farmer from Jos. Is there any program to assist dry season farmers, and how can I contact them?
All right. So thank you very much. I'm happy the gentleman raised the issue of the onion.
Yes.
And I'm happy the Vice President is here. Let me tell you what happened. Because there was scarcity of seed, a member of the Onion Producers, Processors and Marketers Association of Nigeria, a member decided to go across the border into somewhere in Niger Republic or I don't know where, and he went and introduced a variety and got it into the country and started selling it. So farmers went into using that seed, and at the end of the day, they incurred this loss. The president and his team, they visited us in the ministry to report this matter. And they also told us that investigation by them revealed that it was one of their members, and that member has since been handed over to the security agents for further investigation and possible prosecution. So in response to that, like I said, we activated the mandate of National Horticultural Research Institute that is based in Ibadan and asked them to do something about this. And that is what I told you, that they have just done the harvest of what they have done. And you see, seed production is stage by stage. The seed you see being planted today will have, the stage of its production will have started a year ago or 2 years ago, if we must get it right. So we have activated this since we came on board, and they are working on that, and that is the assurance we are given. But the problem is already in there, so the effect of the problem will also be seen, and that is what this guy is supporting.
And we wear away.
And then what it will wear away, because now we are having a solution. The research institute that has the mandate on it, they are taking it back to back, and we have told them they must respond to the farmers on this. Now, I want to take the second question. You see, one of the things we've realized is this.
That is tackling the transport from the farm gate to the market.
I want to tell you, and may God bless our president, because this issue was tackled in the Federal Executive Council, and there is a cabinet committee that had been meeting in the past 3 months trying to look at the issues, because transportation is across different states. And so you need to meet at the level of the National Economic Council, the state governors, the local government. Everybody has to be brought on board. And I think the meeting and the resolution around that is to find a solution where at the end of the day, when farmers are transporting their agricultural goods, some of these challenges they face on the roadblock, extortion by so-called, revenue collectors and the like, all of these things will stop. Because the result has been that what we have seen from the report is that some perishables that ought to travel straight will be stopped by some hoodlums or some people, and in the course of it, rather than take 24 hours to get to the destination, they are taking 3 days, and by 3 days, these things are destroyed.
Yeah.
That brings me to the issue of post-harvest. Now, for post-harvest, we realized we need to do something. So we have now introduced what we call Post-Harvest Connect. We've done the 2nd edition this year. We are bringing the entire stakeholders in the post-harvest ecosystem together so that problems can be related and solutions can be provided. We've done that in 2024, we've done that of this year, and the whole essence is to be able to tell farmers solutions that are available. That way they will be able to assess this solution. For example, there's what we call, there's a bag that has been produced now. It's inert atmospheric. It means if farmers put in things there, there is no air, and they will be able to have their produce keeping long before they take it to market. So all of these things we are doing because we realize we need to provide solutions to farmers. And the aspect of processing, which also goes together with post-harvest, are all taken along. And there is quite a number of things that are happening out there. Nigerians are very creative.
Honestly, what you have said, with what you have said, Nigerians will be wondering, while everybody is still crying when we go to the market. And that's why I asked High Chief earlier on if the seeds are available and accessible. But he talked about, of course, the affordability, and that's what one of the viewer has just sent in, and that's Olenilu Afemi. He's saying he started with great respect and commendation for the minister. Indeed, he said, "My distinguished senator, honorable Minister of State Agriculture, I appreciate you for your in-depth education for the nation on what agriculture is and what the nation is doing. The important role of quality seeds in agriculture was well advanced by you. I agree." He says, "One major challenge, though, is availability, accessibility, and affordability of the seeds. This was achieved by the actions taken by Dr. Adesina as Honorable Minister of Agriculture in Nigeria through the Growth Enhancement Support Scheme." I'm sure we remember. He said, "When the famine and food availability took a giant leap in Nigeria, why can't Nigeria revisit the GESS to take the food security to the promised land?" That's his question. And there's another one.
Maybe let me answer this because it's very important.
Okay.
The GES has now been upgraded to NACS AP. That is the National Agricultural Growth Scheme Agro Pocket.
Okay.
It's still the same principle, and that's what we are doing now. Now, within this ambit, that was how we're able to produce the wheat, which your reporter reported in the early opening story. Now, what I want to say here is this. Remember I said we've now revived the moribund seed system. If you revive something, can it instantly get to maximum capacity? It's not possible. That's why I said we're not doing magic. It's not a quick fix thing we are doing. But what we are doing is we are bringing back and institutionalizing those things that ought to be there. If this system had been there all along, we wouldn't have been dealing with this. Let me tell you, there was a study that was conducted that showed that 70% of our seed system, of the seed farmers use, is coming from the informal system. If you have been in the village and you want to farm, immediately you say you want to plant this, they will tell you, go to so-so person. That's where you will get the right seed. And they will mention where you should not go to, because the man is pretending to sell seed and the seed is not good. The villagers and farmers know this. Okay. I'm sure Chief can corroborate that. So, but what we have done now is that, realizing that the formal seed system cannot meet the seed demand, we have now asked the National Agricultural Seed Council to activate the development of the informal seed system, that is under what we call the farmer-led seed or community seed development, which they have started now. And they have a target so that at the end of the day, we will be able to, in each local government, have a set of community seed development, practitioners that will be able to support the production of this seed, because somebody has to go and plant it. Rather than planting it as, I'm planting, something to be sold as food, I'm planting it to be used as seed. So that we are tackling. And I don't have the figure now. Otherwise, I would have been able to tell you their target. But I know there is a plan, which we have seen. We have worked with them. And that plan is to enable them go down to the villages and develop what to call the community seed entrepreneurs.
Is the ministry matching up, with actions in terms of monitoring, in terms of supervision?
There is what we call seed monitors. The seed monitors are also being developed. Because you see, seed production is a system. Where you plant has to be selected carefully, so that you don't allow other things to come in and pollute the integrity of what you are going to have as a seed, because you can't have control. So you try to minimize. Now, these seed monitors are also being developed.
Okay.
So for me, what I want to guarantee Nigerians is that we have done so much work over the past 2 years, and we are currently in the process of unleashing all of these things. In the coming years, a lot of these things will begin to now get more traction. There will be more results than what is being reported now. And, the good thing about the performance system is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has put in place what we call the Central Delivery Unit, which is headed by Hajia Hadiza Bala Usman. Now, the thoroughness with which this delivery unit is interrogating all the ministries is something very commendable. And it speaks to that, performance system that I talked about.
Yes.
Now, for us as a ministry, we have our priority areas. And those priority areas are the main focus. And they are to focus on what? Making sure that food is available, there is processing, because the wastages we are having, post-harvest losses, is because they are not being processed. So there is also that area of support. And in all of the areas of performance that we have been given, including institutional development. Because don't forget that you need strong institutions to implement, and that is exactly the point the farmer association is talking about, that the directors and all the MDAs, we must have very strong people helping to implement all of these things and taking it down.
Would you say food is now available in terms of when you compare your projected output and what we have now?
Absolutely, food is available.
Okay,
and let me tell you the other aspect that we have shied away from. There are bad elements who try to do what we call hoarding. That is where the problem is also coming in. And that is why I said we are looking at developing a system that will ensure that those who are hoarding will face consequences. Because no matter what we do, if somebody will decide to just bring money, buy these things and lock them up without bringing them in, then he's contributing to what? Reduce volume, which means many people will be chasing lesser volume. And that is why the price will go up. It's simple economics. And we realize government has to play a balancing act. We are not saying Nigerians should not be involved in buying and selling of foodstuff. They should be involved. We are not saying farmers should not farm. We want farmers to go to farm. But farmers should also earn some good things for themselves. And mark you, we are dealing with modernity. And Nigerian youth, for example, are saying we don't want the picture of a farmer that is seen as a poor, ugly looking or something not.
Actually, I was going to ask you, because most of the time the youths now, you need to encourage them to
That's
go
it.
into farming.
That's it.
And how do you go about it? But before you answer that, I know Chief Obiora has been itching to contribute to this conversation. Let's have your
My
thoughts.
reason is that, you see, the issue of transportation, I'm so much interested. Reason is that I am the person wearing the shoe. I know where it fits me. About 2 years ago, there's a problem that happened with my farmers from Mango. They took some Irish potato and sweet potato from Mango to Anambra. What they spent is about 788,000 naira for all these people on the street.
Revenue collectors, the so-called revenue collectors.
And I wrote to the ministry that this is what happened, this is what happened. No reply. Up to down that I'm talking. And I'm happy that he's saying it now, that they are taking it over to this, and rest. I am aware that they have, the vice president have already inaugurated a sort of a group of people to deal with it. But what is it is that if something of that nature happened and the ministry did not take over the matter from that, because I later quoted all the where it happens. We are not invited to come and say something about it. And those people are...
And who are these people? Are they known? Are they community people?
They claim they are from the local government.
Let me clarify this.
One local government can have about 10, 15 points in the same road. So why is it so?
So let me say this to you. Honestly, like you have said, there is a lot of work going on. You know, we have the Presidential Food System Coordinating Unit under the Vice President. We are tackling that, getting the buy-in of the governors. Now, from the security perspective, the National Security Advisor, there is a committee that has been put in place. They've done a tracking of the notorious areas where these things are happening. Okay. They've done point by point by point by point assessment. They have all the data. And at the outside, currently as we speak, there was a meeting involving all the various security formation where a decision was taken for them to bring in their officers in check. But remember, this issue is not done only by the security. All this other revenue aspect is there. And that explains the multiple approach that is being taken on this matter. And like I said, the cabinet committee is yet to present its report, but I know they've done so much work, they've done so much meeting. It's chaired by Senator Obaka Chari, the Minister of Agriculture. So I want to assure you that this issue is being tackled because we know, first, there is a revenue challenge inside, tax, and different layers, state, local government. And then there is security issue. So please, all of these things have been tackled together.
Let's quickly take a short break. But before we do that, let me appreciate these contributors because you've already answered their questions on transportation. This is from, okay, no name, but okay, sorry. Usman from Kefi, Nasarawa State. He says, thank you, Mr. Honorable Minister. I just want you to look into how you can make farm input affordable for us in Nasarawa. There's also, there should be a team in the federal government to monitor and go down to local areas to confirm the distribution supply, if it is done or not. And this other one also, but it has gotten no name. Our food security problem includes the middlemen and agencies that collect so many bribes on the road. How do you solve that? So I think these are some of the questions that you have answered. Please, let's go on a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service. And we are looking at 2 years of President Tinubu's administration in the agricultural sector. And the conversation, I must confess, has been quite robust. Of course, with the, engagement of the Honourable Minister and the viewer. Please keep your comments coming. We have more than 20 minutes left. Keep your suggestions and your questions coming.
I think yes. I have some
okay,
here,
you have
but,
some
but before during the break, we were talking about the government engaging both the local and the subnationals in all this to make it
easier, and you were giving some explanation. Can you just
yes, maybe what just I've said is that you see there is a cabinet committee that has been put in place to look at transportation of agricultural produce, because we all know transportation cost is one of the major contributions to the final cost of food item. You go to a place where food is being produced, you may buy it at maybe 30 naira, but by the time you take it to production center, it may go to 500 naira. If you check and ask the farmer or the producer or the person who is marketing it, he will tell you he's paying almost like 300 naira as logistics. Now, these logistics include all this money that they pay and whatnot. And like I said, both from the office of the vice president in terms of networking with the state governors and by implication the local government, and from the office of the national security advisor looking at the role of the various security agencies, all of these issues are being tackled. And I said the idea we are looking at is what we have seen in other countries, where anything foodstuff from point of loading to final destination should have a right of way. If there is anything that needs to be checked, it should be checked at the final destination. That way, food items that are perishable will have absolute transportation down to the final destination. Some of them are meant for export. And that's why today exporting out of Nigeria is a challenge. Because rather than take 24 hours, on the road, some farmers or exporters will tell you it takes them 3 days. So all of these things are being looked at.
Would that be achievable? Would you have, officers accompany them from the farm to their destination?
Those are the proposals that are being mooted. But like I said, it's still work in progress.
Okay.
It's not something that has been approved, but I'm saying that there is an effort. Because like I've said, the president's concern all the time, and the question he keeps asking is, how is this impacting on Nigerians? And the moment anything is negatively impacting on Nigerians is brought to his attention, he wants a resolution to that issue. And that explains why this cabinet committee came on board.
Well, that is why Nigerians are asking this question. This one says, Honorable Minister, good morning, sir. Another challenge we are facing in food shortage and scarcity is the problem with subnational. They are not doing enough to assist farmers in their respective states. They only budget in billions on paper. The federal government alone cannot do everything for Nigeria. The governors should also have their own input. This from Ayeton. Now, this one is from Kabil, from Abuja. It says, Honorable Minister, I have a device for farmers to monitor what is going on their farms. That's probably talking about technology now.
Yeah.
Invite me, please, Honorable Minister,
he's invited.
For presentation. So, Kabil, the minister says you are invited. And this one says, good morning, Nigeria. Mr. Minister, as you have said about cost of production, I suggest that government should try as much as possible to make it possible for the subsistence farmer to graduate to mechanized farming.
Thank you very much. You see, I appreciate the fact that we are speaking here on what we are doing. We are doing so much. The mechanization he talked about, we have 4 mechanization programs for the first time in our history. And the reason is that our current mechanization rate is put at 0.02 horsepower per hectare. That is practically manual labor. And the average, even in Africa, is about 2.5 or 2 horsepower per hectare. So to address this issue, we have the Belarus agricultural mechanization scheme, which is where we have already received close to 1,000 or thereabout tractors, which are here right now in Abuja. And very soon, Mr. President will be, taking a final decision on that, so that farmers can, have access to it. Now, we also have the John Deere mechanization program, which is still in the works, but we also have the Green Imperative project, and then we have the Greener Hope mechanization initiative. All of this mechanization, we are looking at a situation where not just to have the tractors, but we must have the spare parts. We must have the trained technicians who will be able to provide this. So we are looking at establishing agricultural mechanization centers in all the local governments, so that these tractors will be available, spare parts will be available, and then there will be hiring scheme. While some farmers will be able to afford to buy outright, some farmers may not be able to. So this is what we are looking at to take care of this. But beyond that also, in other programs of the ministry, value chain development, Life ND programs in the Niger Delta, value chain node that has just recently been signed, all of it also is looking at small mechanization tools that are handheld, or petrol-driven, just small ones that farmers will be able to.
Are these for well-established farmers? How
For
do
well-established
you
farmers,
smallholder farmers?
in fact, let me tell you, if you remember, right here in this studio, I spoke about the so-called portfolio ghost or fake farmers. The ministry, myself and my colleague, we've spoken about it, and we are working very hard. And that is why we are now partnering with the Nigerian Identity Management, Commission, NIMSI, to develop a robust farmer database that will not only say this is a farmer, because we know there are some farmers that are farmers but they don't have land. So they take rent. We need to know all of this. If you are a farmer that have a farm, where is your farm? There are technologies now that can ring fence, GPS, we know, we link you, and at the end of the day, when we want to give support, we give support. We also realize that cooperatives, agricultural cooperatives, we are doing a cooperative reform and revamp program where we are going to empower cooperative societies to take that challenge, because through them, we'll be able to now provide all of these services without going to the so-called fake people. Because, when you say cooperative deal with their members.
They know their members.
They know their members. So these are the issues we are looking at. And our belief is that overall, the farmer must be put at the center of our development effort. And the only way to do that is when we know who they are. So we are talking about serious data.
When you put a face to every farmer.
These are the things we are also dealing with very practically.
Dr. Hudu Oswe from Kaduna says, good morning to the panel of discussants. While I commend the Honorable Minister of State for his explanation, the problems with agricultural policy implementation failures is attributed to top-down instead of bottom-up approach. He says the need to conduct monitoring and evaluation of projects should be strengthened. That's the question I asked you earlier on. Agricultural and Rural Management Training Institute, ARMTI, in Ilorin, has important role to play in this regard. I'll allow you to speak more on this, but let me just ask you a question. We're running out of time now. He talks about starting price stabilization board, setting up the price stabilization board. Does this resonate with members of your farmers, given that, of course, again, prices are determined by the interplay of market forces and a lot of the hiccups that you talked about?
Okay, let me tell you, in all the advanced countries, there's no place they don't have a market board and price are set up. It's only in Nigeria. Formerly, for many years, they have it. Why shouldn't we revive it back? So the point I'm making is simple. This country belongs to all of us. And anything that we do, we should remember that our children are there, because many of them are ready to go out. While there is a place you are born, and everybody should know that this country, we must respect that we are Nigeria. Nigeria, in those days, when we go to UK for Agri-Show, if we did not come in time, they will say, where is Nigeria? And immediately we just landed, they will say the giant of Africa have landed. And let me quote the Mandela speech. He said, if we get it right in Nigeria, every Africa will be okay. So the country that we are living, we have natural resources, we have everything it takes to get it right. We have human beings that are knowledgeable, educated. So why are we suffering? The farmers, even if you don't even till your land, just put anything you can, the seed, it will grow. It will grow.
Okay.
A country of this nature. So what we are saying is, we must look into the welfare of the farmers so that the youth should join us. If we don't look at it, if it doesn't encourage people like us, my family cannot be a farmer.
How do you think government can do that?
ministers have said it. We need to be carried along in all the projects and the monitoring, all what is happening. Then we need a farmers' council to be established. This farmers' council will be the people to look into the welfare of the farmers, to look into the insurance of the farmers, to look into all what he's saying about ID card and everything, and they will be authentic.
Okay, we have to stop you there.
Do you carry along the farmers when you are coming up with all these policies?
Just
Yes,
so you
he's
answer.
up to
Yes,
the
just so
question.
you answer all. I have some, reactions here. I'll quickly just summarize. I wish to ask what the Federal Ministry of Agricultural Research Development is doing to bridge the gap on extension agents in view of the roles extension services play. He also says the recommended standard of extension agent to farmers has collapsed to 1 to 10,000. Can the ministry introduce the services of private extension services providers too? Mechanization is key. We've talked about that. And this is coming from Babatunde Abdul Karim from Benin City. This other one is Karim. He says, please, Honorable Minister, the price of fertilizer is still very high. Between, is this 48,000 to 50,000 naira? What is the federal government doing to ameliorate this and to make fertilizer accessible to farmers, not the middlemen that are also sabotaging government efforts? And finally, there are quite a number. Matthew Inyam says the issue of food inflation is a major challenge. Food items traveling are multi-taxed. This has been, addressed. Let state government take interest in this malaria of food inflation. How? And he went on to list quite a number of measures that we'll pass on to you at the end of the program because we don't have much time to do that.
Yes. Can I read this one too?
Yes, please.
This one is from Liberia. He said, my name is Maurice Sisse. I'm from Liberia. The problem with agriculture and we young people in Africa is that we study agriculture in universities and we refuse to practice agriculture after graduation. Remember, a nation that feeds herself is bound to develop.
Okay, are you done?
No.
All right.
This one says, Honorable Minister, please, all these policies should be monitored around the clock because some agents sent for some projects are not faithful for selfish interests. And this one says, good morning, my presenter and Honorable Minister. My name is Tunde Oladipo from Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. My contribution to the Honorable Minister for Agriculture are as follows. Please, can we declare agricultural emergency in Nigeria by challenging each of the 774 local governments to produce certain tons of food crops and cash crops and animal husbandry, taking note that all directors of the agricultural department and their staff are mostly dormant and just collecting salaries. Secondly, also in the cause, can we divert our NYC coppers into agriculture while we create conducive farm settlement for them, looking for more social, structure?
And finally, from Destiny Vincent from Lugbe, he says, I must confess your ministry is doing well, but the rate of taxes on the road is too much. The moment you cross Abuja, you have entered problem. With multiple taxation, especially that of Kogi State and Enugu. I don't know if you are able to do this in 60 seconds.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let me say this.
Yes,
You've talked
yes.
about bottom up or top down.
Yes.
Let me be very clear. We are currently implementing a bottom up approach, not a top down. In everything we have done, both the soil health, for example, that I talked about, the cooperatives, okay, this production system, everything we are doing is the stakeholders that go down. We do stakeholder meetings. And part of our performance management system is talking about the number of stakeholders engagement we are having to justify that the president wants a bottom-up approach. So one of the priority area of our performance evaluation is the number of stakeholder engagements we are having, because it speaks to the fact that that is the only way you are going to have a bottom-up approach. So we are doing that. Now, in terms of policy stability, the highest political will ever in the life of this country that I have seen for agriculture is this particular period under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I've been in the sector all my career before even joining politics, and I could speak to who has shown tremendous interest in agriculture. And I want to say the interest President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has shown in agriculture is unprecedented, is something that has never happened before, and he is personally superintending over every single actions we are taking or not taking. So I want to put it very clearly that this is the period of high political will. The farmers are being engaged. And I want to say that because these problems are so many, we are not having enough time to deal with them. Now, in terms of graduate of agriculture, we've just initiated a interministerial work now to review the curriculum of agriculture.
Okay.
And we are looking at a situation where in the first year, it's going to be purely practical. And then you can get a certificate for having that competency. 2 years, diploma, then you get your degree. These are the ideas we are looking at.
Maybe you should also institute a kind of competition, you know, a regional competition. That's what someone was saying.
Yes, all of these things will be possible, but you need to also put everybody on his toes first.
Yes, you have to carry a lot.
You must introduce equity, then you can bring competition.
Senator, we have run out of time.
What about the
Yes, you
issue
need more time for us.
What about the issue of the NYC? I mean,
In fact, let me say this.
Yes.
Right now, we have done a survey of all the universities, colleges of education, colleges of agriculture, to show the land that are available, land holding. And then the institutional farms like that of the Nigerian Correctional Service, the NYSC, the Nigerian Army, all of them are having farms. We are currently working to see how we are going to bring all of these available space that are safe into production.
Last minute, 30 seconds. You are saying something.
Yeah, my own advice is what I said already, that Tinubu's administration have done well in agriculture and agricultural development, and we need more. And we are talking about having farmers' council. We need it.
Okay.
Another thing we need is early release of the budget of agriculture.
Okay.
I think they've heard. They have heard
Yes.
that. And, the minister is here. He will pass
Early
across.
release. No, it's not for the minister to release the budget.
Of
It's
course.
taken to the government. So
The
early
information.
release of the budget to the
thank you.
Ministry of Agriculture
We
so
know
that we
that
can have food.
the minister, we thank you so much. We know that you still have so much to talk about.
Absolutely,
And
so much.
because of our time, we just have to draw the curtain here. Is there any final thing you want to say in 20 seconds?
About rice.
All right, thank you very much. Let me say for the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, our mantra is food first.
Food first.
And because it is food first, everything we are doing, day and night, myself, my humble self, Senator Abubakar Kyari, the Permanent Secretary, Engineer Marcos, all the directors, all the heads of agencies, NADF, Mohammed Abu Ibrahim, and all the others, Research Council, Seed Council, the colleges of agriculture, cooperatives, land resources, we are all working to ensure that we are pulling in the same direction to deliver a food system that is transformative, that will provide affordability and ensure and guarantee that food sovereignty for Nigeria is guaranteed.
And
produce what we eat and eat what we produce.
Produce what we eat and
You didn't say anything
eat
about
what we
rice.
produce.
I asked you about rice.
Thank you so
Rice?
much.
Yes.
Because
I
of
want to
time.
know
No.
what's
You don't have much
run out
time.
of
I will have given you
We have
all
run
the
out
data.
of time. Thank you so
Remember
much.
Niger State,
Honorable Minister.
the governor, you talked about earlier the subnationals.
He-
So many of our, I think there was somebody who raised that
Yes,
issue.
yes, yes.
So many of our subnationals are doing fantastically
Okay,
well.
they are doing very well.
They are doing very well.
Thank you very much,
Honestly, we can
Honorable
guarantee that
Honorable
Jigawa,
Minister.
Niger, Kaduna, so many of them.
Thank
Taraba, many
Thank,
of them.
don't stop,
you.
Senator.
Ali Sabi Abdullahi, Honorable Minister of State Agriculture and
very
Food
much,
Security. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you very much
for coming on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank
We're sure that we're going to come again so that we can conclude on this discussion.
We are ready
Also,
immediately.
we want to thank High Chief Sir Daniel Obiora Okafor, the Vice President of Farmers Association of Nigeria, Arthur. I also want to thank all our viewers for your suggestions and questions, for making this conversation very interactive. My name is Ademola Adeoye. Thanks for joining. Claire?
I'm Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak. Bye-bye.
Thank you.